Hi, my name is Peter Anderson with Anderson Family Therapy. I am here with Herman for Question and Answer Friday.
Hello.
Just,
What does clear communication look like in a relationship?
it's only said in one or two sentences, which takes a whole lot of work. So, when I was in seminary, and I still do this, I preach sometimes, and when I do, I will translate the passage. This isn't me showing off that I know how to translate or that I'm somehow holier, but I spend all of my energy telling you what that little passage says in one or two sentences. And I could sometimes be spending 2 to 3 hours telling you in one or two sentences what that whole passage says. And it's a lot of work and it's exhausting sometimes. But once I go there, I could completely explain to you something that's super, super complex in a very, very easy way. So clear communication is not belaboring the point over and over and over again or being all over the place. That's actually you not being clear. Clear communication is being able to say to your partner in just 1, 2, no more than 3 sentences what's going on with you internally, what the particular situation is that really bothers you or that you need to talk about, and what you really need from them. It's those 3 aspects. And that's really hard work, but the minute I go there, there's a sense of like where I relax. That's how you also know it's clear communication, because it's like, in a sense, you're releasing tension, not increasing tension. So I would say clear communication is working very hard to summarize those 3 things: what's going on internally, what this particular situation is. So I'm not like all over the place. I'm not bringing back something from like 1974 or something like that. I'm like this thing, and then what I really need from you here. That's clear communication when it has those 3 characteristics. And there's a sense of you actually feel stress releasing from your body when you're clear. You actually do. There's dopamine, that is increased because it's like journaling. It's very de-stressful. It's an act of meditation. Even if the other partner doesn't necessarily like what you're saying, you're actually okay with it because you've taken the work necessary to get to the point where you feel like you've been really honest with what you need to say to them. So it doesn't, that's the other thing, is that that it's clear communication because it's not dependent on the reaction of the other person. It's unclear communication when you're so attuned or maybe sensitive to how the person reacts. Then you haven't quite done the work yet. I would go a little bit deeper. Go to the point where you have that sense of confidence enough where even if they don't necessarily like it or they react against it, or maybe they or maybe they even ignore it, you're okay. You're okay with that. So I would say that's the way I would describe clear communication.
How do I or my partner stop being so defensive?
Take responsibility and slow down. And what I mean by taking responsibility, what do I mean by that? You can't always prevent yourself from not getting defensive. If you've had a really crappy day and you've seen, you're a construction worker and you're dealing with really, really difficult people all day long, or you're a therapist and you just saw 12 clients, or you're a doctor and you just had like 3 surgeries, and your partner immediately wants to talk about plane tickets. And you're like, you're thrown off. That's just your body. That's sometimes defensiveness is just your in the moment lower part of the brain kind of reacting. And so if you can build a staircase, what I mean by that, verbalize what's going on, okay? Communicate sometimes some type of responsibility. What I mean by that, let your partner in. Hey, I just had a really bad day. I reacted a little bit too quick. I was way too quick with you. Can you tell me what you really needed in that moment? That's actually really helpful. It communicates a sense of humanity between you and your partner, that you're not perfect, she's not perfect. And it also gives you the opportunity to slow down next time. And also it humanizes you in a way. But how not to be defensive? I would say that if you do have a very high stress environment, I can't emphasize enough the importance of self-care. So I used to live in Gloucester, which is a beautiful, beautiful town on the here in the East Coast. And I used to, whenever I would leave my cases, I would go over the hill and I would see the ocean, and I would just sit at the ocean for 5 minutes and let all my problems just drown in the ocean. And then would go home and I would see my wife and my little girl. Now, whether or not you live near an ocean or not, I think it's really important that you check inside just before you go inside the house. Even if you have a great marriage, take a few breaths, do a little mindfulness, pray, whatever it is, and just check in. And you've been working all day long, and you're about to go into intimacy mode, and you've been in work mode. So try to make whatever you can that shift to go from work mode to intimacy mode, and do whatever you need, whether it's 5 minutes, whether it's 30 minutes, to get to that point. So defensiveness really has to do with taking responsibility and also implementing a lot more self-care in your life.
What does it mean to create a symbol for a relationship?
Yeah, I would. So I'm going to go a little Carl Jung here. I'm going to be a little mythical. I'll see how this goes. So I believe that we have archetypes. So Carl Jung believed that when we dream, we have archetypes. And what he meant by that is we have a connection with our past, and we're not so alienated as we assume that we are, and so we often feel very alienated, especially in a social media age, where it's just me and my cell phone, or me and my wife and my cell phone, and that's about it. And we're very ingrained in just the here and now, maybe too much, and we have no connection to our past. And so a symbol is something that really grounds you. It's more than just the two of you having a disagreement about, what's for dinner, or, where my child needs to go to college, or, it's so much deeper than that. And so a symbol is what really grounds you, whether it's religion, whether it's philosophy, whether it's a practice that gives you a sense of purpose in your life. It's an archetype that connects you with your forefathers, in a sense. So a lot of people the symbol may be church. It may be going to church and confession every Sunday. For some people, it may be just going on a meditation retreat and getting in touch with their inner self. It could be whatever, I think it's different for different people, but it's what grounds you as a couple, that gives you a sense of purpose beyond the bullshit. Because we have a lot of BS in our lives, the things that we talk about. It's not BS all the time, but it is BS if there's no reason for what we're talking about. So I had a couple once who said she was really irritated with her husband because her husband was like, well, why shouldn't I drink every single Sunday? And I asked her, well, what would you like to do in 5 years from now? What would you like to do in 2 years from now? She was like, I don't know. And I said to her, I think we figured out why your husband likes to drink every weekend. And she said, well, why? What do you mean? Because why not? So we worked on that. We worked on, what do you really want to do in your life? Like, why am I doing this? Why not just drink? Why not just do these things? And so a symbol is something that when we're talking, we're having communication, it really grounds us in a way that gives us a sense of meaning, a shared meaning, as we make decisions in our lives. It's the most important thing, I think, in a marriage. And we always, in today's age, just how distracted we are with so many things, we don't ask that essential question, that existential question. So I'll end on this, because I love this question, because this is a real passion for me. There's a really good book called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, and he came up with a philosophy called logotherapy, which just means purpose therapy. And what he saw, he was in the Holocaust, and he was in Auschwitz for 3 years, and he noticed two groups of people. He noticed people that survived and people that would die within 1 or 2 weeks. Without being shot, without going to the gas chamber. And what he noticed between these two groups of people, this group over here that survived had a sense of meaning. And this group just died off really, really quickly. And so Frankl actually came up with this therapy called logotherapy that helped people find a sense of meaning in their lives. Because if you don't have that, why not drink? Why not just do things? So a symbol is something that grounds you. It gives you a sense of purpose or a sense of meaning to your past history that you can both share, that is beyond the superficial. And it brings in a sense of beauty in a way that will offer you a sense of curiosity in your relationship and really liven up romance. Now, was that a good enough answer?
That's great.
Use some of my MDiv and some of my other videos. Okay. Yeah.
That wraps that up.
Okay. Thank you so much for listening to Question and Answer Friday, and I hope to see you next time.